Tonight, many of America's farmers already feeling the pinch are worried about the possibility of more challenges.
And we're going to lose another.
Picture this. A hardworking farmer stands in the middle of a golden field of wheat. He's been up since dawn for months, planting, watering, watching, waiting. The wheat is tall, ready, and beautiful. But instead of harvesting it and selling it at the market, he reaches into his pocket, pulls out a match, and sets it on fire. No, this isn't a movie scene. It's happening in real life right now in parts of America. Why would anyone do that? Because no one wants to buy the wheat. Not anymore. Farmers are stuck with crops they can't sell. Silos are full. Trains sit idle with nowhere to go. Some wheat has been sitting for so long, it's going bad. Burning it is cheaper than storing it. This is the silent crisis hitting the American heartland. And the reason behind it is simple. Global buyers are turning their backs on U.S. wheat and going elsewhere. But they're not protesting. They're not making speeches. They're just quietly moving their business to other countries, especially Canada. Yes, Canada. While U.S. wheat rots in the field, Canadian wheat is flying off the shelves. Why? Because the world isn't just looking for the cheapest wheat anymore. They want wheat that's clean, safe, and delivered on time. And right now, America just isn't cutting it. There was a time when American wheat was the king of grains. You could walk into bakeries in Paris, noodle shops in South Korea, and tortilla factories in Mexico. And odds were they were all using wheat from the United States. It was trusted, it was respected, and it was everywhere. For decades, farmers in places like Kansas, North Dakota, and Oklahoma were global heroes. Their wheat didn't just feed America, it fed the world. When countries needed a reliable supplier, they looked to the red, white, and blue. American wheat wasn't just a product, it was a promise. It promised quality, consistency, and speed. Buyers knew they could depend on it year after year. That trust built billion-dollar trade deals and long-term friendships. But those friendships are fading. Something shifted, and the shift wasn't loud or messy, it was silent. Countries didn't throw tantrums or break deals on live TV. They just stopped calling. They signed new contracts with different partners. They didn't wait around for U.S. wheat to fix its problems. That's the scariest part. The loss of trust wasn't sudden. It happened little by little. Like a slow leak in a tire, the confidence just deflated. Now the world is going in a new direction and they're not looking back. Let's take a closer look at the Philippines. For years, this country was one of America's most loyal wheat customers. Almost 90% of their wheat came from U.S. farms. That's a huge share. American farmers thought, if there's one place that'll always buy from us, it's Manila. Then came May 2025. Out of nowhere, a major milling company in the Philippines canceled a 12,000-ton wheat order from the U.S. They didn't ask for a delay. They didn't try to negotiate a new deal. They just canceled it. Gone. And here's the kicker. They turned around and bought 110,000 tons of wheat, but not from Kansas or Nebraska, from Canada and Australia. Even though U.S. wheat was $8 to $10 cheaper per ton, the Philippines didn't care. Price wasn't the problem. The real issue? Trust. Buyers in the Philippines said U.S. wheat had become too risky. Shipments were late. Politics in Washington caused delays. Insurance costs were higher. And sometimes the wheat didn't even arrive. It was like ordering a pizza and not knowing if it would show up. So the Philippines made a decision. They wanted wheat that was stable, predictable, and drama-free. They didn't make a big speech. They didn't hold a press conference. They just stopped buying. And that quiet choice sent a very loud message to American farmers. Now let's travel to France, a place where bread is basically a national treasure. In France, bread is more than food. It's part of daily life. Every corner has a bakery. Every home has a loaf on the table. And for many years, much of that bread came from American wheat. Bakers in cities like Paris and Marseille loved U.S. wheat. It was strong, reliable, and perfect for making crispy baguettes and fluffy croissants. But something changed in 2025. French wheat imports from the U.S. dropped to the lowest level in over 2 decades. That's not a small dip, it's a big red flag. What went wrong? Here's the list. Shipments were delayed more often. Carbon scores, which measure pollution from production, were too high. Chemical residue levels didn't meet new European safety rules, and customs paperwork kept changing. It became a gamble just to order American wheat. One missing form or one rule change could stop a shipment at the border. French buyers said, no thanks. They didn't yell. They didn't complain. They just moved on. Many signed deals with Canada. Others turned to local farms, even though weather problems had hurt the harvest. To French bakers, it didn't matter if U.S. wheat was cheaper. They needed peace of mind, and America wasn't giving them that anymore. So like the Philippines, France walked away, quietly but firmly. In South Korea, U.S. wheat was used for everything from snacks to noodles. But between late 2024 and mid-2025, the market shifted fast. U.S. wheat dropped from 35% of South Korea's supply to under 17%. Meanwhile, Canada's share jumped to 60%. What caused this? One word, glyphosate. It's a chemical used on crops. South Korea tightened its rules, and U.S. wheat often failed the tests. Canadian wheat? Much cleaner. No drama, no surprises, just shipments that passed inspection and arrived on time. Korean companies switched. No press release, no fight, just quiet exits. Mexico has been a top buyer of U.S. wheat for decades. We're neighbors, trade partners, close allies, but even that friendship couldn't survive the chaos. By mid-2025, Mexico cut U.S. wheat imports by nearly 40%. At the same time, they increased imports from Canada and even Argentina. The reason? Mexico got tired of last-minute rule changes. One week, there's a new export tax. The next week, new forms are required. Sometimes trucks were stuck at the Texas border for days. That delay caused food prices to spike and factories to shut down. Canada offered peace of mind. No last-minute changes, no border chaos. So Mexico made the switch, quietly, permanently. Italy is famous for pasta, and pasta needs durum wheat, something the U.S. used to supply in big numbers. But by 2025, Canada had taken over. It now supplies 45% of Italy's wheat imports. The U.S. is down to just 15%. Why? Canada invested in better wheat, better labs, and better tracking systems. When an Italian pasta maker places an order, they get exactly what they asked for every time. That's not just good business, that's respect. Let's give credit where it's due. Canada didn't just wait for buyers to come, they stepped up their game. They added smart machines to harvest crops faster, moisture sensors to ensure top quality, digital tools to track every shipment, clean records with low chemical levels, reliable delivery windows. When the world got more complicated, Canada got more prepared, and global buyers noticed. Back home, the signs are everywhere. Kansas silos are overflowing, up 40% from last year. In Oklahoma and South Dakota, wheat is left unharvested. In Washington state, inventory is piling up. In Idaho, farmers are switching to flaxseed. In Texas, some mills have shut down completely. And yes, some farmers have burned their crops just to make room. This isn't just sad, it's scary. Because when buyers leave, they don't always come back. This isn't just a wheat problem, it's a warning. Corn, soybeans, even tech exports. Everything that depends on global buyers could be next. Once trust is broken, it's hard to rebuild. And in today's world with wars, shortages, and price spikes, trust is everything. Yes, but only if we change. Lower prices won't fix it. Trust will. No protests, no noise, just a quiet shift. France, Korea, and the Philippines now use Canadian or Australian wheat. Meanwhile, U.S. wheat sits or burns. To lead again, America must rebuild trust. Because in global trade, the real power isn't in the grain, it's in reliability.